Havoim, welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Kuf Chof Aleph, Amud Aleph, starting with Daf Kuf Chof Amud Beis, 11 lines from the top, about a third way down. The Gemara quotes the Mishnah that the Mishnah is talking about over here. HaPesach Acher Chatzois Mitames HaYadayim. The Korban Pesach after Chatzois, that means according to this Tana, that it's no longer permissible to eat the Korban Pesach after Chatzois, and therefore they were goizer on the Noisar Tumas Yadayim. Says the Gemara, Almo Mechatzois Havole Noisar. From here we see the Tana holds that indeed, that after Chatzois is Noisar. Says the Gemara, Man Tana, who is the Tana of this Mishnah? Says the Gemara, Amarav Yosef Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. The Tana of this Mishnah is Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. The Tanya, for it says in the Brisa, Ve'ochlu es ha-basar balayla hazeh. You shall eat the basar on this night, referring to the Korban Pesach. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah oimer nemar kan balayla hazeh v'nemar lahalon v'avarti be'eretz Mitzrayim balayla hazeh. It says in this pasuk in regards to Korban Pesach, balayla hazeh, but it also states in regards to the makas bechoros balayla hazeh. And therefore he learns a gezeira shava. Ma lahalon ad chatzois, afkan ad chatzois. Just as when it comes to the makas bechoros was until chatzois, so too then the Korban Pesach can only be eaten until chatzois halayla. Omar la Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva argues on Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, and he says, Vahaloi nemar chipozoin. It says in regards to the Korban Pesach chipozoin. Ad shas chipozoin, until the time of chipozoin, and therefore Rabbi Akiva learns that is until the morning, until Klal Yisrael were left. There was still a state of chipozoin, like the Mitzrim who were trying to get Klal Yisrael out. There was a state of chipozoin. Take a look at the Rashbam. The Rashbam in Dibra HaMaschil, Shas Chipozin, the second line when it gets wide, it says Shenichbazu Latzeis. They're Nichbazu Latzeis, Vahainu Omur HaShachar. This refers to the morning. Like Rabbi Akiva says, Kedesiv Lo Teitzu Ish Mi Pesach Beiser Ad Boiker. So Rabbi Akiva learns the Chipozin is referring to is the Chipozin in going out. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Sovar, says Rashbam, Chipozin de Mitzrayim. Is the Chipozin referring to the Mitzrayim? B'shas makas bechoros. On the night of makas bechoros, the time of makas bechoros, there was chipozon. As it states, she'al yodeh nichbezu l'mayher l'sholchem min ha'oretz. They were in a state of haste in chipozon when they were trying to send Klal Yisrael out of the land. And therefore, there's two different understandings of chipozon. According to Rabbi Akiva, back in the Gemara, says that shas chipozon refers to the morning. And therefore you can eat the Korban Pesach until the whole night, until the morning, till Alos HaShachar. Im Kain asked the Gemara on Rabbi Akiva, if indeed you have the whole night to eat the Korban Pesach, Matamu loima balayla. Why did it say then balayla? You already taught me, according to you, chipozon means the whole night. Says Rabbi Akiva, Yachol, I might think Yehi Nechal bekotchim bayom. Just like other kotchim can be eaten during that day, that you shech the Korban. So you might think the Korban Pesach also then could be Tamuloima balayla. Therefore it says at night. That night is when you can eat the Korban Pesach, but not during the day. You shecht it on your Dalid ben Nisan, and it can only be eaten on the night of Tesvav. Balaylahu nechal, ve'ino nechal bayoim. Says the Gemara, the following question, Rabbi Akiva, Hai hazeh my ovidle. Granted, you just proved to me what halayla does, but why do you then have to say halayla hazeh? Bishlam, according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, when it says halayla hazeh, he has a gezeira shava with makas bechoros. But according to you, Rabbi Akiva, it just says halayla. Why does it need to state hazeh? Mi boile, says Rabbi Akiva, I need it. Why? Lemiute laylo acher hu da'asa, comes to exclude another night. Salka daite chamino. I might have thought to say, says Rabbi Akiva, hoyel upesach kachim kalim, v'shlomi kachim kalim. Just like Shlomim is kachim kalim, so too Korban Pesach is also kachim kalim, and therefore ma Shlomim nechol in shnei yomim v'layla echad. Just as shlomim is eaten 2 days and a night, af Pesach ukim leilos b'mokom yomim. So too, I would then substitute the nights for the days. Gabi the korban Pesach, because you cannot eat it on the night, the first night. And then I would think you can eat it 2 days and a night, meaning I can eat it, 2 nights and a day. The first night, and I can eat it then Tesvav, and I can eat it then the night subsequently of Tes Zayin. Therefore, the Torah says, Hazeh, this night, only Leil Tesvav can you eat the Korban Pesach. So again, Rabbi Akiva says, you might have thought that I could eat the Korban Pesach. Granted, not exactly like the Shlomim, because the Shlomim is 2 days and a night, but I would think to substitute the days with the night by saying 2 nights and a day. And therefore I can eat Tezvav at night, Tezvav during the day, and Tezayin at night. Kamash Malan Hazeh teaches me otherwise. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, what do we say about this? He will tell you, Miloi Sasu ad boiker nafka ha. He says, I already know it from the pasuk that says, Lo sosu menu boiker. You cannot leave the meat, noisar, until the morning. Morning is mashma, only the first morning. And therefore I don't need an exclusion to think that I can eat the Korban Pesach even the second night. Rabbi Akiva, Amar Allah, what did Rabbi Akiva say about this? We have a pasuk that seems to be quite clear, like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is saying, Lo sosu menu ad boiker, until the morning. Says the Gemara, Iloi kosav rachmona hazeh. Says Rabbi Akiva, if it didn't write hazeh, hava amina my boiker, I might have thought, what is considered to be boiker in the pasuk when it says lo sasu menu ad boiker? Boiker sheni, the second morning. After all, it does say boiker twice in that pasuk. Rabbi Elazar Amar Loch, Rabbi Elazar says to you, kol heicha de kosav boiker, boiker rishon. Whenever it's written boiker, it always refers to the first morning, and therefore there's not such a concern that I would learn it differently. Therefore, lo sosum and boiker does meet kipshutoi, the first morning, and that's why I don't need hazeh. Omar Rava, once we speak about the Korban Pesach, now that Rava talks about the matzah itself, and he says, Ochal matzah bizman hazeh achar chatzois. He says that one can eat matzah bizman hazeh. He says, if somebody ate matzah after chatz, ochel matzah bizman hazeh achar chatzois. One who ate matzah during the zmanenu after chatzois, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah lo yotzi yidei chavosai. He says, according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, he's not yotzei. Just like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says regards the Korban Pesach, so too when it comes to the matzah. Just like the Korban Pesach can only be eaten until chatzois, so too the matzah can only be eaten by chatzois, even bismanenu. In fact, the Gemara Pshita, the Gemara says that's poshut. The kivin the iskish lepesach bepesach dami. Since the pasuk says al matzos umorim yochluhu, there's a hekesh between the Pesach and the matzos, that you eat the matzah and the mor together with the Pesach. If the Pesach can only be eaten till chatzois, so to the matzah can only be eaten chatzois. Answers the Gemara, no. The Mahu the same ma, you might have thought to say ho afke kro mehekeshon, that the pasuk comes to then take it out of its hekesh. In other words, once we have the pasuk that teaches ba'erev toichlu matzos, that we don't learn the hekesh, so I might think then that when it comes to then the hekesh is no longer satisfied, I don't ever follow the hekesh, and therefore I say that when you don't have, I might think at least that when you don't have the Korban Pesach, then matzah could be eaten after chatzos. Kamash Malan, Rava comes to teach us that you can only eat the matzah also until chatzos. Kamash Malan, the chiadre kro lemilsa kamaisa ahadre. When the pasuk goes on to say, ba'erev toichlu matzos, it brings back the original hekesh, that just like when it comes to the Pesach, that you can only eat till chatzos, so to the matzah you can only eat till chatzos, even bismanenu, when you don't have a Korban Pesach. The Gemara quotes the Mishnah, "Hapigul v'hanoisar mitame es hayodayim." The Mishnah states that both by pigul is when a person does one of the avodos, either shechting, as even a zar can do that, or the kohen then does that next 3 avodos of mikabolas hadam, halacha brings the dam to the mizbeach, and zrikas hadam. If during any one of these any one of these avodos, he has in mind to eat the carbon in its not in its allotted time, in its different time outside the allotted time, that's called pigul, and the pigul then becomes disqualifying the carbon. If somebody eats it, then he's chayiv kares. Noisar means that the meat was left over during its allotted time, and therefore, again, a person not allowed to do that. If he does, he must burn it, and if he eats it, then he's chayiv kares. Says the Gemara, Rav Huna Rav Chizda, Chad Amar Mishum Chashdei Kuhuna, V'Chad Amar Mishum Atzlei Kuhuna. One said that it's referring to the Chashdei Kuhuna, that's referring to the pigul. The other said that it's Atzlei Kuhuna, which is referring to the Noisar, as the Gemara will explain. Chad Amar Kezayis, V'Chad Amar Kebeitza. One said the shiur of the meat is talking about, the shiur of the how much is going to then come in contact with the yad is a kezayis, and the other one says it's a kebeitza, double the size. On top of kuf chof aleph amid aleph, chad tani apigul, v'chad tani anoisar. One teaches that it's going on pigul, and the other one teaching is going on noisar. What's the reasoning? The Gemara explains now. Man tani apigul. The one who taught that the reason for mitames yadayim, the gezer of mitames yadayim for pigul, is because mishum chashdei kahuna, is because of chashdei kahuna. He came to explain the reason for why pigul causes the takana, the gezerah of tumas yadayim. He says because of chashdei kahuna. Since the kohanim were choshid, the kohanim that maybe they would have eva and hatred towards the bailim of this carbon, whereby they'll claim that they were mefagil the carbon bishoigeg, disqualifying the carbon. Thereby, we required a gezerah that their hands become tamei. Why would that help? The Gemara explains because then, if their hands are tamei, since for them to then come in contact with their touch kachim, it would mean that it would mitame the kachim. So therefore, they would have to be matbil the yadayim. Since that's considered to be a tircha, then they would not want to then mefagel b'shoigeg, which is a remarkable thing. And even more so, Tosfos points out in Daf Pei Amud Aleph that those who are already these kohanim mishoim that are going to mefagel a carbon, so not only are they going to be then discouraged because they have the matbil the hands as a slight tircha, but they're more concerned about the tuma than being mefagel the carbon, and therefore rishoyim chamir lahu tuma, says Tosfos, then even coming to mefagel a carbon which is an iser deraisa. Akoponim, that's the reason chashdei kuno. Man detani anoisar mishum asle kuno. The one who teaches noisar, the explanation of the Tumas Yadayim in the Mishnah of Noisar explains that it's Atzlei Kahuna. It's Bishum Atzlei Kahuna, that the Kohanim will be misatzil in eating the meat of the carbon. So therefore, to encourage that they eat the meat on time, it doesn't become Noisar, they were Goizer Tumas Yadayim, again, as a tircha for them to have to matbil the Yadayim. Chad Amar Kezayis v'Chad Amar Kebeitza. One said that the shiur is a kezayis. The other one says the shiur is kebeitza. As follows: Man the Omar kezayis mi isur. The one who says that the shiur is a kezayis, that's the shiur of iser. That achilas iser is a shiur of a kezayis. Whereas the man the Omar kebeitza bitumosoi. The one who says that the shiur is a kebeitza, he says just like the oichel that's metame midiraisa is only if it's a shiur of a kebeitza. So too over here, it's a shiur of a kebeitza.